This is Mile High News on the Wendy Love Edge Show, and I'm your host, Candace Dyer. Today's cannabis news is about Louisiana Senate candidate Gary Chambers. He lit up the internet last week with a campaign ad focused on one issue: the injustice of nonviolent cannabis arrest. I, for one, give this man a standing ovation. It's a breath of fresh air to see a candidate finally take a bold stand against cannabis prohibition. It affects so many people, not just the offender, but their kids, spouses, and family members. We have to look at the long-term effects of the families who have been affected by this. Cannabis has never killed anyone, yet the effects of cannabis prohibition have. We put these non-violent people in prison where they are denied medical attention. That's right. There are people in prison who are not given their life-saving medicine, insulin, and they need that to survive. That's just one example. We are taking nonviolent people and putting them directly into the middle of a war. Yes, a war. Prison has its own set of rules. The inmates are ones who make them and not the guards. In a lot of cases, the guards help the inmates enforce these rules, or they look away and don't do nothing about it. They are forced to either submit to these rules or be punished by abuse or torture. An estimated 4.0% of state and federal prison inmates and 3.2% of state jail inmates reported experiencing one or more incidents of sexual victimization by another inmate or staff member. We don't feed these inmates properly. Dogs eat better than they do. In cold climates, they don't turn up the heat, and in warm climates, they don't turn on the AC, and they're forced to work slave labor. Speaking of slave labor, the inmates are made to work long hours that on the outside would be illegal, but they're paid only pennies for it. I know many of you are shaking your heads and saying, they're criminals. They belong there. They deserve this treatment. Fraud or tax evasion? How many of you have thought about cheating on your taxes? Or what if you could? Bam, you just got 5 years in prison. How many of you have had a few drinks at the park or in your front yard with your buddies? Bam, if you've been caught more than once, that's 180 days in jail for public intoxication. How many of you have taken a prescription med your doctor gave you that you take daily and you don't really think affect the way you drive? Bam, you just got 2 years in prison. How many of you have given or taken a prescription medication that wasn't yours? Bam! You are now a drug dealer or a consumer, and you could get 1 to 20 years in prison. The average American breaks at least 3 federal laws a day unknowingly. The point is that this could be you. Do you think you could handle life behind bars? Because right now, there are still people in prison for life for a plant. If you ask me, I wish more candidates like Gary Chambers would speak up and help fight this cause. To me, he's a hero. We have to make a change and undo all the wrong done by cannabis prohibition. With the amount of legal dispensaries, we are making billions of dollars, and we need to release all cannabis inmates now. The damage has been done by prohibition, and it will never be fixed fully, but at least we can start the healing process. Here are a few of the statistics that were being read as he was doing his campaign message. Every 37 seconds, someone is arrested for possession of cannabis. Since 2010, police have arrested an estimated 7.3 million Americans for violating cannabis laws, over half of all drug arrests. African Americans are 4 times more likely to be arrested for cannabis laws than white people. States waste $3.7 billion enforcing cannabis laws every year. Most of the people police are arresting aren't dealers, but rather people with small amounts of pot, just like me. This has been a Mile High News Report on the Wendy Love Ed Show, and I'm your host, Candace Dyer. Peace. Stay lit, everyone.